Hello. Hello, my Jester Prince fans and potential readers. Yes, I am Joe Flansburgh, the author of the Jester Prince. We're finally getting around to doing the reading of the third chapter. Yes. This one is one of my favorite chapters of the book. It's because the nice little change-ups and stuff that occur in it. Yeah, we'll be doing that. I have to give thanks to God, of course, for getting me off my butt to get the thing published. It was his idea. I was merely his servant. His Jester is a servant, of course. And let's see. Well, today I'm wearing red with blue highlights, of course, the hat. A good Jester should wear something on that. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing at all. Oh, look. I found a penny. Yeah, a penny. You know what I do when I find a penny? I sing a little song. Bring good luck. Some people say if you find a penny tails down or it's not good luck, but I say it is. They might sing a little song like this. It goes, pennies from heaven, pennies from heaven, pennies from heaven, pennies from heaven. In God I trust, in God I trust, in God I trust. That way, you know it's good. That's how you beat any curse. Prayer and add singing to it, even better. Alrighty then. Let's get on with it, shall we? There we go, chapter 3. Called The Switch. So, sometimes glasses do get in the way. I'll make do with what I got, though. I guess I can. I do make good with what I got. That's all I can do. Okay. Chapter 3, The Switch. This is what the thing looks like. I don't know if you can see it through the internet camera, but there it is. Almost a year later, the Northern Kingdom had an official visit from the sorceress. She came in with all the pomp and show she could muster. King William allowed the event in order to size up this adversary bent on taking over everything. He set his kingdom's army on high alert and had Joseph train extra guards for the castle. It was a month to Rose's birthday as well. There was a tension about the air. People were on edge. William and Anna prayed to God for help, but not only for themselves, but for Joseph and Rose. Jester Joseph and Princess Rose kept each other at a short distance during most public meetings and such as this. When they had time to themselves, they would talk, walk, and share dreams and such. Joseph was the best gentleman he could be with the princess. She adored him so much because there were no others like him in the world that she knew. Now the announcement trumpets were blasted as the sorceress enters the main courtroom of the Northern Kingdom's castle. The king stands, as is custom, in receiving guests from other courts. Though he feels this one doesn't deserve respect, he still stands and addresses this guest. Welcome to our land and our presence. Thank you, my lord, replied the sorceress with an almost pleasant sneer. What brings you out and about? I know you have a purpose for your visit here, stated the king. You are very perceptive, your majesty. That's why I haven't been able to take your kingdom as I have others. Your vigilance is commendable. Taking a breath, she adds, I have a proposition for you to consider. The king looks her in the eyes and states, Get to it then, let's hear it. The sorceress steps into the center of the floor before the thrones and her attendants just behind her. Then addresses the king and those present. For your majesty's consideration, I propose an alliance between your kingdom and mine that will benefit us both. An agreement that will make us both stronger than we currently are, with a sharing of resources and material. We can make the kingdoms better than ever. And what is the cost of this arrangement? Our freedom, our souls, burst in King William. The cost isn't very much at all, your majesty. Just some mineral and trading rights between the two kingdoms, and the use of some people for military service in times of need. Stated the king. He added, it sounds good from the outside. Then he looked at his daughter, the princess, and then at Jester Joseph. Then back to the sorcerers. But I know who you are and who you represent. So no. The sorceress turned, almost surprised, and glared at the king. What? No, stated the king. Will you reconsider? Asked the sorceress. No, stated the king. Why? She asked with a scornful look. The king replied, you killed good friends of mine, repressed a good people, stole a kingdom without rights of succession, though you haven't quite pulled that off from what I've heard. So what good are your words but filler dust? The king looked at the sorceress to engage her response. She winced and squinted at him like she wanted to do something, but she held back. Damn that prophecy, she stated quietly. Then she turned and stated, I see you are not easily bought. You know much about what has happened under my reign, but I've been watching you too. I know weakness in you that you may not be aware of, and I'm not going to tell you either. But I know that this kingdom will be mine eventually, and you will pay the price for what you thought not possible. We shall see, William stated with authority. With her intense stare, the sorceress walked out of the room, and with her attendants and guards. Outside the courtroom, as the doors were closed, she stopped and talked with the head of her guards in the side hallway that led to the outer parts of the castle. What have you observed? She queried. The guard stated quietly, the princess is his weakness. He'd do anything for her safety. Well stated, my loyal one, she said with a devious smile. The guard knew this look, and it meant she had an idea. What is the plan, my queen? Looking around them to be sure no one was listening, she stated her intent to her guards. At the birthday party of the princess, we will kidnap her and take her to the southern kingdom and hold her ransom. The lead guard stated another observation. Oh, my queen, this place is too well protected. Plus, it is 3 days between our cities. Carrying someone is an awful lot of work for the distance to cover. The sorceress looked at him and winked. I can use my power of transportation via magic, as well as all of you involved. Very well, my lady. So when do we do this? During the party? I've been to a few of them. There won't be very many windows open to get close to her. The magic show, my man, the magic show. We will be the magicians and will take her away in front of all of them. And there's nothing they will be able to do that will stop us. They all nodded in agreement, then left to make their plans for the coming event. After they had left, Joseph, wearing a unique outfit that disguised him as part of the stonework, stepped out of hiding. He promptly went and reported to the king the plot that was about to unfold. Well done, Joseph, stated the king. King William. Queen Anna then added to the discussion, what are we going to do? I don't want her daughter taken taken in possession of that awful beast of a sorceress? The princess then piped in with a concerning tone. I don't even want to let her in the room. You could cancel the party. It would make sense in light of the threat. However, stated King, that would be seen as weakness from the sorcerer's point of view. It would be the beginning of the loss of my freedom and love and my love and for security. Yes, don't want to lose love and freedom for security. Really bad. There must be another way, something else we can do. The king ordered the room cleared, with the exception of a few guards and maids. Joseph then added to the discussion. Well, sir, it might be an opportunity to gain knowledge of the enemy. How? Asked the king. She is threatening to take me away in a flash, added Rose. Then continued, probably to the middle of her domain. I hear it's terrible. There's no sunlight, no grass, no music, no happiness, no color, just mud, muck, gray. She sighed. Oh, I wish I could be someone else for that day, not the princess. I'm wishing that too, my daughter, at this moment, added the queen. It's not like we have a body double for her protection, William chimed in. He noticed Joseph was looking not at them, but at the shadows in the wall, and unusually quiet. A penny for your thoughts, Joseph? What are you thinking? The king asked. Joseph replied, I'm thinking. Rose and I are nearly the same height. Oh, I am a couple inches taller when we are flat-foot. It wouldn't take much to get our shapes to change. The king and the ladies looked rather puzzled at the jester's comment. Then they noticed the shadows on the wall that Joseph was looking at. Then Rose broke the moment of quiet. That's crazy, but it might work. She walked up next to Joseph and adjusted her shadow next to his. Then Queen Anna spoke. Maybe, just maybe. But are you sure you know what you are proposing, Joseph? Yes, my queen, he responded. King William had to speak to this idea. Jester Joseph, you want to take the position of Princess Rose? Why? For what reason? Do you know how dangerous this could be for you? Joseph turned and looked directly into the king's eyes. I love her, sire. He added, I would die for her. I would do whatever it takes for her protection. Even walk through the valley of death to the enemy's darkest realms. I would go to the edge of eternity for her. That's how much I love her, sire. The king nodded with understanding. Then King William decided to reveal who Joseph was. He looked to the queen who nodded back. King William then relayed the story of who Joseph was, of his father, King Robert, his mother, Queen Sarah, how the sorceress had come to power in his homeland, of the flight to the northern kingdom, of the decision to train him under Jester Bartholomew's guidance to conceal his identity. Joseph took it with awe and amazement. When finally King William told him of his betrothal to Rose, he broke down and wept for a moment. Queen Anna and Rose hugged him and comforted him. Bringing back his composure, Jester Joseph stated, Then I am a Jester prince. King William again nodded at him. So, Joseph, what are you going to do? It is all up to you. I am not going to order you to do this. You have to decide your own course. Whatever you decide, I will support. So what say you? The king asked. Joseph took a deep breath and sighed, and regained his composure, looked at the queen, princess, and king. Then the spirit came upon him and he felt an energy he hadn't felt before. Your Majesties, my lady, evil cannot be allowed to stand. I am tired of people living in fear of it too. I'm tired of fear. It is an opportunity to fight evil in a unique way. If we can't risk all that we are in the fight, what is the point? So I will take your place, Rose. When I am taken to the Sorceress' domain, it will be an opportunity to strike. She will be distracted and confounded. She does not understand the ways of love, hope, and faith and what they are. Those are her weaknesses. So with that, we have God on our side. With him on our side, who have we to fear? King William nodded at Joseph and then stated, So be it. All agreed with the plan to be done. This is going to take one heck of a makeover. I hope we can be ready in time, stated Queen Anna. King William looked at her, then at Rose, and then Joseph, and then he stated, Begin tomorrow morning. Joseph, get a good rest, for tonight is the last among the men. He started out of the room, then turned to Joseph one more time. I do not envy your task. Good luck, son. And pausing with a slight chuckle, Princess. With that, they called it a night. The next morning, the Jester reported to the Queen's chamber after setting a plan of action with the king and the military officers for dealing with the coming storm. On coming into the room where the Queen and the Princess were, Joseph addressed them as he was used to doing in the morning. Good morning, my Queen, my ladies. Good morning, Joseph. Are you ready? Ready to be changed from one of the guys to one of the girls, replied the Queen. I sure hope so, he stated, and then added, How do we begin? Rose took the lead on the plan of action. First, we put you into undergarments and dresses and get your shape right. Then we will try on different footwear to help the appearance. After we shave your legs and trim your hair a little, added the Queen. Then we will work with makeup and touch-up work, added one of the other maids. So Joseph followed their instructions. He was terrified in his mind when he was bathed, especially when they shaved his legs. He endured it well. They'd given him a special undergarment so his private areas would not show during the work. When the bathing and cleanup was done, the ladies put underwear on him, and a good pair of legging stockings, and a corset to draw his shape more into a more womanly look. It's made him squirm a little in discomfort, but he kept enduring. Then after several petticoats were added, they put him in a pair of boot shoes similar to what the princess usually wore. The last thing they added was a wig, similar to the look of how the Princess Rose's hair usually looked. It took in all, including the Queen, Princess, and maids, 10 people to give the makeover. When they were finished, the Queen and everyone stood back and stated, I think that about does it, with pride in her voice. The Princess then moved a large looking glass in front of Joseph so he could see himself. They stood back for the reveal. When Joseph saw himself, he couldn't believe what he was seeing, that this was real. He looked like his beloved Princess Rose. His response came quickly. Holy Lord, have mercy on me. Do you like it? Asked Rose. He nodded and added, Impressive job, ladies, though it's kind of hard to breathe right. Queen stated, You'll get used to it. Can you stand up? Joseph then very carefully stood up with the help of the ladies present. He almost fell a couple of times, but he finally got stabilized. Try walking, as said the Queen. Joseph nodded, then proceeded to try walking. He stumbled a few times, and even fell a few times under the new stress he was feeling. How did you move in this stuff? He asked, standing from the second fall. The princess answered, Well, you have to walk this way. She lifted her dress slightly to show her feet, then walked past him and around him. Then she gave him a little kiss. Yes, like this, Queen Anna said. Then she showed her feet and walked around him, with him watching. Now try again, she insisted. So he started walking, a little shaky at first, but eventually he was doing it. As the school bell rang in the square, he had gotten to walk right. Like this, he stated. Bo gave him a little kiss and stated, Now walk this way. He did a walk into a small set of chairs in the ladies' room. Then came his turn. Now, I have to teach you what I know, Joseph stated, after a few minutes of fidgeting and adjusting. Rose was in the exact outfit the Jester would be wearing on the day of the party. It was tight around the chest. It had to be to hide who she was. When she'd gotten the shoes on, she was ready to try walking. She was ready to try walking. This wasn't as bad as Joseph's attempts, but she still had to get it right. Joseph had removed the shoes he was wearing from the lower part of his costume to demonstrate how he walked. He stated, Walk this way. As he walked around her and across the room and back, she took a few tries at it, but she took her a few tries, to say the least. She got it. He applauded her when she got the walk right. And all it took was a little kiss like this, she replied with a smile. The queen piped in, Now to learn to dance. It will be right after the dance that the magic show will be performed. This is when the enemy will are going to do whatever they're going to do. So, Jester Joe, you will have to let Rose lead in the dance. Yes, I understand, my queen. Plus, Rose will have to be able to dance with a pie in her face, so only her eyes are showing. She'll have to pie me with a very similar pie to hide me from the beginning of the dance. Good point, Joseph, replied the queen. Queen Anna clapped her hands, and immediately one of the maids came in with a tray of pies on it. Joseph was again back in the full costume, looking like the princess. The look was almost perfect. The Jester dressed as Princess Rose, and the princess dressed like the Jester. So they began to rehearse the dance, with Rose leading. And after they had worked out a group of movements, they added the pies to the equation. Rose stated, I want you to do me first, but please go easy. I want to get a feel for it. Very well. Take a deep breath, said Joseph. So he gently pushed the pie in her face, getting it to stick. She sighed with a small start, but then seemed to relax. She carefully wiped the goop from her eyes and looked at Joseph in his eyes. He said to her, Give a good exhale. So she did, and was relieved of the breath that she held. Now do to me with one before you wipe your face off, just like I did to you. Nice and easy, she said. So she smashed him in the face with a nice and easy with a pie. The room couldn't help but laugh. The queen seemed to even be having a little fun with this training. Jester Joseph wiped his eyes and looked in Rose's eyes. They were truly in love with each other, without much warning. Rose gently grabbed him and kissed him. And everyone, even though they both had messy faces, not even clearing their mouths, this was actually called a pie kiss because they were still wearing the pie in each other's faces when they kissed. This was Joseph's first kiss of this kind. He had seen one once when he was younger, and he'd watched old Jester Bartholomew give such a kiss to his beloved. Only true love could this happen. The two had proven to each other that they would stick with each other no matter what had happened. Queen Anna also knew this. So she let it happen, for she wanted the best for her daughter. She also wanted to see how devoted Joseph was to her. When Joseph and Rose released each other from the kiss, they noticed all the eyes in the room watching them, and nearly at the same time, the two of them said, "What?" The Queen was first to speak up. "All right, you two, on with the lessons. We've only a few days to get to the party. We have to get this perfect." "Yes, madam," was Joseph's response. "Yes, mum," said Rose. The days of training were intense but flew by in quick order. By the time of the party, the pair had begun to pick up each other's mannerisms. The walking and dance were becoming flawless. Joseph and Rose were nervous, but both prayed together and for endurance and for the coming test that they were and all that they were. The Queen and King were also nervous for them and prayed all went well. The King, during the training, asked the bishop for divine help of novena and masses. This was necessary as the enemy, under the sorcerer's leadership, was also preparing to do what they were going to do. There was no stopping this tyrant from her goals, as far as she was concerned. What she had failed to realize is that her spy network hadn't penetrated the Northern Kingdom's inner core. All that she had learned was that there was major preparation for the princess's party. She studied and practiced her transport spell to be flawless. She trained her minions that would be assisting her in the grab. She readied a show like no other had ever been seen before, or anyone had ever seen before in the Northern Kingdom. All others were illusionists, and all other illusions were just by show magicians. This time the magic was going to be real. For sorcerers do what magicians pretend to do. Now it was time for the princess's party. The ballroom was full of the usual guests. Ladies and gents from all over the kingdom filled the room. Even some selected guests from the capital's merchants were there. There was music and dancing, food and wine, and delicacies of every kind. The guards were even having some fun with the guests at the edge of the party, even though they were on high alert from the threat of the sorceress. The stage was set for something to happen. So, as was custom, the side door was opened to the room, and the princess came in and, escorted by the jester at her side, they proceeded to the presence of the king and queen. Head steward introduced them as they entered. No one expected anything different or out of place. Only the king, queen, Jester Joseph, Princess Rose, and a handful of others knew what was going on. The others that knew were stationed at the royal podium area to watch the show in appropriate response to situations. Joseph felt weird in the position of the princess, but he did not show it. Rose also felt odd as she was standing in the jester's position. She almost laughed when Joseph had to curtsy and almost lost its balance. But she did keep her composure to her relief. She and the queen couldn't help but smile at Joseph and how he looked in this way. The time for the pie in the face prank had come, and each did their part. She smashed him, she smashed her, he smashed her. The room erupted with laughter at the mess of the two. Even the sorceresses waiting in the wings chuckled at the scene. So as the dance was coming to a close, they each gave each other one last pie to the face and whispered in each other's ears, "Good luck, God be with you." At the end of the dance, Princess Rose took the place of the jester at her father's side. Joseph took the position of the princess next to the queen. Visually, he matched who he was playing. The king summoned this year's magicians. Very quickly, the sorceress appeared with light and smoke along with her selected minions. She was well dressed. in a slim, shiny green dress, double-length gloves, knee-high boots. Her minions were wearing black veils over their faces. After a quick introduction, the group proceeded a series of tricks involving light, magic, and smoke. The first part of the show was mostly small illusions with flowers and personal item tricks, and some teasing of the general crowd tricks. Cue then come the big moment for the big trick. The sorceress addressed the room. Ladies and gentlemen, you've seen some neat things here in the past few moments. Now for the main event. I need a volunteer from the audience. She turned to the royal platform. Princess, would you care to step forward for this? You'll like this. This is a different disappearing trick you'll never forget. The princess and the jester and princess stood up at the same time, still wearing the mess on their faces. They looked at each other. The sorceress spoke to this apparent issue. Relax, Jester. She will not be harmed. The king nodded to the jester to sit down at his request. So the princess came forward slowly in the presence of the sorceress and her minions. Joseph was really nervous in this moment. Will this disguise work? Will this plan work? What was going to happen? He breathed quickly, his heart pounded. He wanted to wipe his face and reveal, but he held back his thought and stood where he was directed to stand. His performance was perfect. The sorceress and her minions set a perimeter around themselves. Then the sorceress presented a large green satin veil. She had it set up all around her. This happened very quickly as she was warming up her power. She then materialized her staff in her hand and dropped her disguise, addressing the king and queen. Your majesties, for too long you have resisted my efforts. You've mocked my power for far too long. Now I have what is most precious to you. You won't get her back unless you give what I desire you give to me. As she was saying this, her minions pulled a large, stretching bag around the princess in their midst. The king stood and addressed the sorceress. You will not get away with this. This is an outrage. Oh, but I will, smirked the sorceress. Stand back, everyone. Don't interfere. The jester stood up to approach, but the sorceress knocked him back into the king's seat. The pulse of power. Then the sorceress set a quick trace of green energy around herself and those in her group. And the energy grew into a glowing cylinder of light reaching to the ceiling of the room. The sorceress raised her staff over her head and twirled it 3 times, then brought it down to the floor with a loud crack noise. In a very quick greenish-white flash and a thunderclap, they were gone from the place. All in the room were silent of what had just happened. The king turned toward the jester who was in the seat. She wiped her face. He knew it was his rose. The plan had worked, but at what cost? He helped her up, and she was okay, and looked back at those where the magic show had been standing. Rose broke the silence. He's gone. They're gone. The king nodded. Yes, my love, but you are safe. The queen spoke up. We must pray now for Joseph, for the risk he is taking for all of us. The king ordered the room cleared and set the guards. He ordered a search of the roads of the kingdom and deployed the army and began to train for war. As the evening was setting, Rose just stood, staring at the spot where her love had disappeared. The room was now empty. The king came up to comfort her. She was still dressed like the jester. The pie mess hadn't been cleaned off from her and was starting to congeal. She didn't care. So she turned to her father with tears in her eyes. I love him, Father. I want to marry him. He's gone, and I can't be with him. I don't know where they've taken him. He doesn't deserve to be with that eagle. He's a good man. He does so much for everyone and hardly gets a thank you. I love him. I love him more than anyone knows. King looked at his daughter and in the eyes replied, I know, my daughter. This is a test of our faith we must endure. I like him too. He is a good man. A good man for you. We must have faith. When Joseph returns, I approve of your marriage. For now we must pray and have faith. Rose hugged him and held him. The queen came up next to him and embraced them both. The room was fading in the evening light. The three held each other in comfort, and the praying for Jester Joseph began. So ends chapter 3. I hope y'all like this. It's actually one of my favorite chapters of the story. Well, it's pretty good. I'm so glad we had this time together to share a laugh or sing a song. It seems we just get started, and before you know it, we have to say so long. Good night. Good day, everybody.